Is
Well,
that
not
time?
quite.
Holy cow.
Almost, not quite.
1 minute. Is there anything in the chat?
I think just me.
Yeah.
Hey, Aaron. Oh, Corey's here too. Christina.
Thanks for sharing on Twitter, Steph.
Oh, you're welcome. No problem.
Yeah, I noticed it didn't get sent out today, so I know it's busy times.
Yeah. Well, it just went out this morning, right? So,
Yeah.
But it's a great, easy walkthrough video, so.
Yeah, well, thank you for
You're
sharing.
welcome.
Are we waiting or are we ready to roll?
Oh, it is 11. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
get started. Morning, everybody. Thanks
Hey,
for
everybody.
joining us. Thank you again joining us for our Friday little coffee break together. Joining us this week, obviously the three of us, but we also have a guest teacher joining us, Sharon Drummond, who we will introduce to you in a few moments. She's got some good stuff here to share with us. We will start with our land acknowledgement.
We acknowledge that the land on which we are gathered is part of the traditional territory of the Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi, and Delaware nations. These indigenous nations, known as the Anishinaabe and Lenape, agreed through their ancestral languages to the mutual sharing of the land with obligations and responsibilities to the environment. Today, these responsibilities and obligations extend to all peoples.
Okay, so Teresa, do you want to walk us through this?
So about my video, the Bitmoji. So we talked about Bitmoji classrooms last week. No, we didn't.
It feels like yesterday.
Yeah. So we were just wondering, did anyone out there try a Bitmoji room, making one?
I did.
Yeah, Sammy.
Want to share it, Sammy?
I will totally share it. I was super stoked about it. Like, I finished it at 10:30 last Sunday night, and the first thing I did was send it to my principal because I'm like, oh my God, I did it.
Awesome. So
It's
are you
fun.
comfortable sharing it or walking us through whatever
Yeah,
you want?
I will happily talk about this one. It's my first one, so don't be too judgmental, guys.
Oh, no, that's
It is
awesome.
not a judgy group here.
No.
Let me know if you see it.
We see
Oh,
it.
awesome.
Look how cute that is.
Yeah, so I included mon petit chat là, so that's
Yeah.
Maggie. I'll put it in present mode so I can show you the links. And so this is what it looks like. And I did actually on my Google Meets, I had to walk some of my kids through how to use it, even though I gave verbal, video, and written instructions. I still had some kids who are like, I don't get it. So on my Google Meets, we went through it together. And they're like, oh, that's cool. So I'm rearranging furniture for next week right now. So basically I told them the books were their key points, where they had to focus the most, and then this is their field trip. I kind of took a page from Jane's book, and I do field trip Friday too now, and so I have a meeting at noon with my kids to go to Côte d'Ivoire today.
Nice.
Yeah. The three little stuffies here just represent my little stuffies that I have for my classes, so they just hang out with me. Our main resources for my older kids especially, this is word reference, Bon Patron, and this is directed more towards my older students, so this one's for Dans la Cuisine. So And this is a Kahoot challenge that I gave my 5 to 8s. So this one's for like les ustensiles and the stuff that's in the kitchen. And it's like a mini Kahoot quiz that the whole school does that I can post on our announcements. I gave them a link towards Duolingo. Hidden gem in this classroom is just to make them smile. And the actual YouTube video is also to make them smile. Let me explain. I'll go as quick as I can. I don't want to waste too much of your time. So
Take your time. This is amazing.
First I did was make some flashcards with Lippity, and I took Corey's tip here, and I told the kids, taught them how to unmute and mute so they can hear the words as well to go through the vocab. So step 1, they had to go through vocab. And I made sure I labeled the books 1, 2, 3. That way I suggested they went in order. Book 2, I took Larry and we had a photo shoot, and I made a book with, again, Corey's tip. Corey, you like saved my life during this remote learning thing. So we did dans la cuisine, and I was using vocab. So I'm like, Larry mange de la pâte avec une fourchette. Or Larry mange du yaourt avec une cuillère. And like, it just goes on and on about what Larry's doing in the kitchen. He ate all my peanut butter. I told the kids I was super mad about it. And then I made sure that my voice was recorded, so Larry had a good time, and that's kind of how that went.
That is awesome, Sammy.
Yeah, I stole that idea from Sheila. And then the third one is a Google form based on the book. Again, thank you, Corey, as I'm now using the voice capture thing for all of my questions and answers so the students can hear it. And it makes things easier for them to understand.
Yeah.
So just like 5 or 6 little questions. This one, I'm like, they need a smile. So I gave them Hakuna Matata in French. So they can watch that at their leisure, just to make it fun. They know Kahoot, they know Duolingo. This one, again, on my younger classes, I gave them a little video to help them work on the vocab. But in this case, we brought Swedish Chef in this one. And he was making maïs soufflé. He made popcorn. So I'm like, I'm going to put this in to make them smile. They need to smile. And then, again, I linked my field trip into the airplane. And then today I sent out a link so that we can go through it together as a group. So I'm pretty stoked about it. But yeah.
That is absolutely, you have every reason to be. That's really exciting. So how did you, okay, so you said you walked them through it through a Google Meet, and you just kind of let them at their leisure go through the activities, or do you have a schedule, or how do you?
I have no schedule. My students, I know a lot of my students are actually, my older kids are babysitting too, and they're dealing with home stuff. So they can work on it whenever they like. Their time frame is to get it done before 8 p.m. on Sunday. That's what I recommend for everything, just because I repost on Monday. If they don't get it done, they don't get it done. And a lot of kids, they'll submit late because they just didn't have time to get to it that week. I'm like, you know what? You're putting in the effort to do it. I'm happy. And yeah, so.
That's awesome.
That's so fun.
When I was doing my clips video, when I was learning how to do it myself, I saw a really neat tip. The girl, she was a homeroom teacher, but she put a video of herself saying the announcements inside her whiteboard. So it was actually, she popped on and she would say the message of the week, and then she'd just copy her every day. She would have one from Monday to Friday, and it would be a new message every day for her class. I just thought it was a nice way to show herself and kind of connect with the kids. So
actually, it's kind of funny you say that, because my buddy Sarah and I were both working on putting videos and attaching them to our Bitmojis to talk about the classroom. And next week I'll be putting a calendar on there to include the date, and it's going to link into a seesaw activity where they have to do the date and the weather for every day.
Oh, perfect.
Cool.
See, you're already ahead of it.
Anyone else have a classroom they want to share? Oh, awesome, Corey.
I have to remember how to share my screen. All right, share screen. I think it's this one.
Yeah.
All right, what do you see?
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, so I'm gonna share the link to a forced copy so everybody can have this if you want, and you can just change the little emoji. So what I did, I just created a little room and added some links to some book creator books that I created. And the French books on YouTube are just links that I found. I tried to find books that they might be already reading. At home, like Brown Bear and what's the Hungry Caterpillar. And Jocelyn Leach at McNaughton has an awesome YouTube channel. So I took 2 of her songs with her permission. She shared her songs with me. And yeah, I put this out to my grade 1, SK1, 2s, and 3s. And I just put up in their seesaw and I just said, tell me what your favorite book was. And I had a whole bunch of kids saying, oh, I like Les Animaux or I like Ma Famille. And it just gave them an opportunity to hopefully bring French into the home in a fun way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And every little book, and with Book Creator, I've been in love with Book Creator too, right? And it just opens it up.
I was gonna say, will you show us one of them?
So here's one. Of course, I have to have one with a cat, right? All my kids know I'm obsessed with cats. So
that's awesome.
It's super cute.
That is really cool.
Oh, can you go to the end, Corey? Because you have all the vocabulary at the back.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. I'm like, I love that part.
All the oral. This is great.
Right?
Can't go back. Similar. And these ones just connect to a YouTube video. So I will post a forced copy link. If anybody wants to use that, they can just change their little Bitmoji and post away.
That's great.
Thank you. Generous of you. Thanks, Corey.
Caring is sharing. Earlier, and sharing is caring.
we understand.
Yeah. Language learners, we all in for everything, right?
So great. Such good sharing coming out.
Anybody else?
Danielle, do you want to share your camping one?
Well, I don't know. Everybody's looks way better than what I built yesterday, because yesterday in the kindergarten when they started talking about how they were doing these online classrooms, and I was like, no, I'm not going to build one. And then I got the camping song stuck in my head, and so I built this little camping one, but it's nothing fantastic. Okay, let's see. How do I do this?
You should have a green button that says share.
There you go.
There you go. Nice. See, this is something different though, right? The others were in a classroom, so this is a completely different. Can you present? So we can, it'll just make it a bit larger for us.
So obviously this is geared to like Wart's kindergarten, so it has to be a lot more like basic. So when you click on the deer, it takes you to this video that explains different animal tracks and how to figure out the animal tracks.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
So that was the one thing I did on that one. And then, oh, go away. Things drive me nuts. How do I get this to go away? And then when you click on the tent, it explains how to do like the hand puppets with the in the dark with the flashlight. Oh, no, this one's here. How to do painting with marshmallows.
Oh.
That's what it is.
Oh, that's
to get
fun.
the kids to like think. So just because you do like a little art activity.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe it's these guys. Yeah, these guys are the ones that do shadow puppets, because I can't find that song. If anybody out there has On fait du camping, the old video, that would be great, because the new one, whenever I take it to Safe YouTube, it keeps just doing like a crotch shot of Maxwell, and I don't think I want to send that to parents. And then this one has a story, Read Aloud Caillou. figure comping. So yeah.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
so cute.
And it's neat to see different ways to use it, you know, for your students. So that's perfect.
Yeah, like I had to make it kind of more basic for kindergarten because it's not, for them, it's like a lot of vocab and oral, and they don't have that yet. So trying to find cute little things and make it kind of just a fun camping day. Let's forget that we're inside and stuck. Let's go outside. So yeah.
Great. And any of those little videos we've been sharing, anybody make a micro video or provocation video, or what was the other one we did? Was that today?
That's today.
That's today.
All right.
Okay. So thank you everyone for sharing. That was great. It's so good to see that you're able to learn from each other and take stuff back each week and try something new. All right. So joining us today is Sharon Drummond. She is a teacher at Winston Churchill, and she is an Apple Distinguished Educator. Is that correct, Sharon?
Yeah, that's right.
I got that title right. So we thought, well, there was interest obviously expressed about exploring clips a little bit further. So we thought, hey, let's bring in someone who really knows what they're doing rather than us fumbling our way through.
And Sharon does some really interesting things with clips in her classroom. So we're very happy that you're here today to share with us, Sharon.
I'm happy to share, as always. So I'm going to share my screen here. Hopefully this goes as easily as it did when we were practicing. Perfect. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes.
So one of the things that I do every single week when we're in real classroom land and not in quarantine land is I put out like a This Week in Room 3, just so parents can see what's happening in our classroom, but also because the kids are really into seeing themselves every week. And so I put it out on Friday after school, and then on Monday morning we watch it together in the classroom. And I find that when I'm trying to take pictures and video of kids while they're doing things, they're much happier to let me get those things, because sometimes grade 4s, they're a little bit like, they don't love the pictures always, but they want to be in the video, so they'll let me take video. So I'm going to show just the very beginning of this so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so I'll stop it there. So you can see that some of the pictures, they have like a filter over them. So if it has the kids' faces, I put the filter over it just because that way I don't have to worry about privacy. I share these outside of Seesaw as well, so I share them on my social media, so I don't want the kids to be identifiable. So I use the filters and clips to take care of that. And I'll show you how to do that. The other way I've been using it for remote learning, and I know there's lots of different ways to do this, but I've been using clips to create my read aloud videos. And so I post a read aloud every day because that's part of our routine in the classroom. And so now I've just been filming them via clips. And so there's always a little bit at the beginning.
Good morning.
Of me talking and introducing the book. So depending on what the book is and depending on how I'm feeling about my hair that day, I sometimes will use the Animoji feature to give myself an animal head, so I don't actually have to appear on the screen. But then
Sometimes I feel like a bear, strong and confident. I stand tall and
So then I just take a photo of each one of the pages and then I read over top of that photo. So you can see I added the closed captioning in there using live titles, and that way the kids can read along with me. So with read alouds, I do live titles if they can't see the words on the page. If they can see the words on the page, then sometimes I won't put in live titles. But in this case, I just took a picture of the illustration, so I wanted to have those words on the page. So when you go into clips, it'll look something like this at the beginning. So you can see up in the top left-hand corner, it says create new. And then it's always going to open up to my camera, and I could take a picture from here. Usually I'm starting with things from my library. So if I wanted to do that book I was just showing, I just tap on it from my library. I can resize it. So if it's got stuff in the background I don't want, I can just pinch to resize. And then this is where Clips has a bit of a unique feature that a lot of people forget about, that it is meant to do video. So if I want a still image, I still have to film it the way I do a video. So I have to hold that big pink button that you see for as long as I want this to appear on the screen. So if I just try to tap it, it's not going to record at all. And that's usually the what people will do, and they'll be confused why it's not working. So I actually have to press and hold. And then you can see at the bottom that little film strip running. And at the top of the screen, you should see how long that's going to appear for. So now you can see at the bottom, you can see that little square. So that means that it's there, right? It's recorded into my film strip. Once I've recorded into my film strip, the second most important thing, we've got the big pink button. And then the second thing is the rainbow star. So you can see along that bottom strip there, the second one over is like a little star that looks like a rainbow. And if I tap on that, that's where I get all of those filters. So if I wanted to change it, I wouldn't do that with a book, but if it was a picture of me or a picture of a kid, I might want to change it. So it's a filter instead. Sometimes with books, I'll just put like vivid or something on it if I want it to, I don't know, look a little brighter, I guess. So if I hit rainbow star, I can go in and I can edit what's already there. And then once I've done that, I'm going to hit done at the top. I can also do rainbow star before I film anything. So when I grab my next picture, if I hit rainbow star, I can make those choices. I can also add things over top. So I can add some text on top of that if I wanted to. Okay, and I can just pinch to make it bigger or smaller and move it around. There's also lots of other stuff. There's stickers and emojis, so you can do reactions. So you can kind of build things over top for read alouds and stuff. It's not what I'm using, but it's all there if you want to. So once I've added all the layers on top, that's when I would hit that pink button, because you can see it's not in the film strip at the bottom, so I have to hit that pink button again. And while I'm doing that, it's going to be recording my voice as well. So that's how we get the voice on there. Next to the big pink button is that little speech bubble. So when I tap on that, that's how I'm going to choose my live titles. So I do try to put live titles on for my kids just because I have an English language learner. I have a child who's deaf. I have a couple kids with CAP, right? So it's good for all of them to be able to see the words on the screen. And so you can choose whatever style is going to work the best for your video. I like this one because it highlights each word. It's pretty good about timing. It's not perfect, but it's usually pretty good about highlighting the right word at the right time. And of course, if you're teaching in a different language in your classroom, you can hit the globe there and you can choose what language you are speaking. It doesn't have any First Nations languages in there, but French is in there. And then also if you've got students who speak another language in your classroom, hopefully their language will be in there as well. If they're making a video in their first language, they could do that too. and it will change those live titles. It's pretty good about picking up languages. I've done presentations with other language speakers in the room where I've had them come up and record a video for me, and 95% of the time it records pretty perfectly when they speak in another language. I'm not going to try that because I don't have another language to give you, but it usually is pretty good. Even in English, sometimes it will mess up a little bit, but you can go in and edit those titles as well. So if it misses a word, you can go in and make those changes and fix that after the fact. Those are like the biggest things about clips. There's lots of other little features inside of it. So I don't know if anybody's used clips before, if anybody has any questions.
No questions in the chat so far.
The only other thing that probably is important to know is about trimming. So for example, when I put in one of the videos of, so let's just say I'm going to add this video in, and same thing, if I'm going to add a video I've already taken, I still have to do my big pink button in order to record that in. But if I'm putting in a long video, so if I've got myself, I'm recording myself talking about the read aloud before I actually read it, and maybe that's 1.5 minutes long. I don't want to sit there for 1.5 minutes holding that big pink button. I can just record the beginning of it. And then after I have recorded a bit of it, if I select it in the bottom and tap on trim, now I can drag and I can select as much or as little of that video as I want. Or if there's a piece at the beginning I don't want, I can drag those yellow handlebars and just select the pieces that I want in the video. And then I can hit trim, and it's just going to take whatever I've selected. Same thing, if I realize, oh, I didn't really leave this picture on the screen long enough, I can hit trim, and I can lengthen or decrease the amount of time there. So that can be really handy if you know that you've made something too long or too short. And then the other thing is if I've put this out of order, if I just tap, it will put it kind of like when you're moving apps around on an iPad, and I can slide it over and I can reorder those images in my timeline into whatever order I want them to be in.
Awesome, Sharon.
Any questions for Sharon on how to use clips? So clips is one that the videos we've created in the last few weeks, we've been using clips for as well. So just to give you an idea of some of the finished products, what you can and cannot do. So the mask one I did last week, for those of you who were here last week. Was that last week? Yeah.
Last week.
What I liked about doing it in clips was that I was able to embed a YouTube video and trim just a little section, right? Because we know with our language learners, we need to really condense the length of time that they're able to maintain that focus on the language. So I was able to find that news clip and trim it down just to get the parts I wanted. And then using the sticker feature, I was able to add those vocabulary words. So as they appeared on the screen, as they were said, I was able to make the vocab appear with the translation to help them through. And to do that, though, I did take an extra step in that I had to not trim, what is it, Sharon? Like I had to separate the clip.
Oh, to split them in the middle?
To split it,
yeah.
Thank you, yeah. So that it would appear at the exact time I wanted and then disappear when I wanted it to.
And the adding voice that's where I always seem to go wrong. It's you have to talk while you're holding that button, and that's the only time it will record. You won't be able to go back. So
yes, that's important. You're right, Teresa.
You have kids in the house, it picks up everything. So what was happening is my kids were talking and I was recording and it picks it up. So you do want a quiet spot, and also it'll pick up the dings on your iPad coming in too. So you want to shut that off as well when you're doing it. Those are all the things I learned.
Turning on the live captions before you record, if you're going to put those captions like across the bottom or the top or the screen, You have to turn those on before you start recording talking. And in the first video that we put out right at the very beginning of office hours, I actually put the captions on and then took my voice out so that the captions were at the bottom, but you didn't have to listen to me talk over top of them. So you can also do that. You don't need to have your voice. You can mute your voice and put on the little background soundtracks instead.
I have found, it used to be that if you didn't turn on your captions first, you couldn't get them at all. Now I've found that if you talk on a video and you forget to turn the captions on, you can actually go in and turn on live titles after the fact, but only if you've recorded the video in clips. So you can't record in your camera roll and then bring that in and expect there to be captions. But if you record in clips, you can now go in and turn it on after the fact. If you
Oh, that is good to know. Okay, thank you.
So we're just wondering, how do you see yourself maybe using this in the classroom with your language learners?
I know, Steph, you use it a lot for families. She shares with our ELLs like how to do things, and she makes little clip videos for them, which is really helpful.
I actually shared one with Danielle yesterday on how to use Google Meets from the student perspective in like on a iPad or an iPhone specifically, just because you can highlight the things exactly that you want them to know. So yeah, this is how you mute yourself, and this is how you turn your video on and off. And please don't touch this because we don't want you to do that right now unless your teacher asks you to, right? So they're pretty quick to make. It's just collecting all of the pieces that you need to put the video together. But I find they're very helpful for explaining things. And then the screen recording that we talked about 2 weeks ago, I use that embedded in the videos too, just because then they can see exactly where I'm going to do things.
Yeah. And those texts, those features where you can put like a circle around something you want them to see, it does light, it flashes. So it does draw attention to it, which is really neat as well.
Lots of people for read alouds and
daily
children guided reading books, daily announcements. Oh, Canada, birthdays, right? Oh, that's awesome. Yep, math videos would be great too. Yeah, and the subtitles, right, to match the speaking so that they can follow along as they're going. The captions are really huge for many of our students, and I've said it before, I use closed captioning a lot in our Zoom meetings and our team meetings, just because I'm not always focused, and it can help help me pay attention. But also, as Sharon mentioned, for our English language learners, or if we have students who are deaf or hard of hearing, students with CAP, all of those make it much easier.
And someone said to leave, when we go back to the classroom, to leave as instructions. That's a pretty cool idea too. I wouldn't even have thought of that. So if you want to leave for supply teacher, for instructions when you supply them.
I also find for the most basic language learners, to find that content at an accessible level, comprehension wise, is sometimes difficult. So this is a way that you could create something using simplified vocabulary at a speed they can understand, really tailored to them, because they still need that oral input, but to just find it on the internet sometimes is a bit beyond their comprehensible input level.
Well, and as you mentioned, you can take that little piece that you want them to have a look at and understand and think about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I also, in the classroom with one of my English language learners, I had he and an English speaking student work together to create like a vocabulary video. And so my Arabic speaker would say the word in Arabic, and then my English speaker would say the word in English, and they would put it over top of the image. And so that way then everybody in the classroom could use that and learn from it.
It's a great idea.
That's awesome.
What a way to validate that student, right? And what they bring to the class. That's great. Supply lessons if the teacher doesn't speak French. That's great. Yeah.
Sharon, do a lot of your students create content in clips?
Yeah, it's a favorite in our classroom for sure. So we've done like our own math provocation videos where the kids have created them and they'll create them in clips. I also use it right at the beginning of the year. Once we've gone over routines, then I have the kids make a clip video to show one routine and what that's supposed to look like in our classroom. So it's like their first exposure. We do an introduction video first where they introduce themselves in clips to teach them how to use it. And then I have them do that classroom routines video. To help them remember what is.
That's fun.
So Rebecca uses them to share STEM ideas with her students over the past few weeks. That's a good idea.
So as a provocation, or how do you use it, Rebecca? Can you just expand on that a bit?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because my microphone wasn't working the other day. So I record myself like explaining it, and then I'm able to like put my voice over top of kind of like the steps, like materials that you need, ideas on like how to build it. Like yesterday, I did a video that I shared with them this morning that they, if they want to create a little snake bubble blower, and the things that you would need from around your house and options and stuff like that. And then over the last few weeks, my pets have become part of the video as well. So they're kind of like usually, here's a tip, and the pet's doing something that you shouldn't do. So it's for kindergarten and primary, and they so far have been hits.
Right. Thank you again, Sharon. That was great. If there's any last questions for Sharon before we move on.
All right. Thank you so much, Sharon. We really appreciate it.
Happy to, always.
Okay, so this week we're going to take a look at another type of video. Steph, you going to walk us through this?
I can, sure. So we're talking about concept videos today. And so this is a video that will kind of give the summary of information or of an idea or a concept that you've talked about. It explains something to your audience. So this may be something that you've already covered and you are going over again just to make sure that they have the whole picture. It might be that you are explaining something that they have not yet had a chance to interact with, but the key idea is explaining. So it's really important that you have visuals and symbols to help you organize the information. And then you can use animation to show relationships between pieces of information. And then also not having too much on the screen, right? Having a blank canvas and letting your information stand out when it is an important time. So there's lots of ways that we can make concept videos. And we're going to show you a couple of different ways that we've made concept videos for teachers as well as for students. So this video was created in Powtoon, which is an online platform for creating videos with little animations in them. It's super cute, and they have all kinds of fun things that you can do, and you can choose the timing of when things are popping up. This video is fairly language heavy. It's a concept that teachers sometimes struggle with, all of the acronyms in our ELL, ESL, ELD world. So I made a quick video so that if teachers weren't sure, this might help explain. So as you can see, we're explaining those concepts for teachers so that they have an idea of when they should be using which acronym to talk about which situation or the person that is learning English.
So in this case, I created a concept video for students being the audience, again, for language learners. And the concept that I wanted to feature was the strategies that we need to be applying in our listening comprehension. So you can absolutely add narration to your videos. In fact, I'd probably encourage it in the language classroom. Just for ease of time, we opted not to for this one, for the demonstration. But lots of features you can use with Pawtoon, but I mean, it doesn't have to be that platform. You can create a concept summary in clips, like we just went over. There's lots of ways, and it could be as simple as you as a teacher demonstrating something on your screen sharing or a whiteboard. It can be anything. It can be a concept summary. Teresa or Steph, is there anything you wanted to add to that? Are we forgetting anything?
I don't think so.
I think you're good.
Any questions regarding concept summaries or ideas of how you might use a concept summary with your students?
So Danielle had talked about using Pawtoon actually, and had students create these to talk about ancient civilization and provinces of Canada for social studies. That's fun.
Awesome.
We have that one more slide.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So just the tips and techniques when delivering a second language. So what language are you using? Just keep in mind if it is French, and in our case, it's me and Steph, sometimes we have multiple languages. What is it, 54 within our board?
Yep.
Like, do not use direct languages. So I put that visual there for you to see, like it's raining cats and dogs. And I know Steph has a funny story about that. You were walking, was it Rosedale?
Yeah, I was at Rosedale with little kindergarten students, and we were walking down the hallway to go do some work together. And I looked outside and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's pouring out. And they looked at me and they're like, Miss Wood, it's raining. And I'm like, yep, it's raining, sorry.
Just keeping in mind the direct language works best, and using visual and cartoons to help. And then providing the translation, like especially for for us, we use it obviously all the time, but in French as well, like providing the word in English and in French, or for us in Arabic and in English helps. So those are just some tips when you're delivering a second language. Any questions?
Okay, well that brings us to our breakout time. So we got some positive feedback about the way we ran it last week. So at this point, those who are interested, please stick around. We're going to place you in a breakout group, broad with about 5-6 people. Those who really aren't interested in the breakout room, that's okay. We appreciate you coming and joining us today. So if you want to sign off now, we understand, but we would love it if you would stick around. So whatever you're comfortable with. And breakout rooms, as always, are just a chance for you to share some of your successes or ask questions, challenges, whatever you have on your mind at this time. It's a chance to work with your colleagues. So we'll just give Rod a second to place us into groups.
So I've got, it looks like, well, we could do 3 groups of about 4, or we could do 2 groups of about 6. Let's try groups of 4. Let me see. Just a little move. Okay, so we'll bring you back in 5 minutes. Is that good? Or would you like
sounds
to go
great.
longer? Okay. See you in a little bit.
Thanks.
Thanks, Angela.
Thank you. Awesome. So, how things go in your breakout rooms? Anything to share with the big group? Anything come out?
Remember, you're on mute when you come back.
Oh, I thought you meant me. I was like,
No.
So Corey, and I don't want to talk for you, Corey, if you want to talk. Corey just put a link in the chat.
Sure, I'll talk about that. We're talking about kind of one cool thing that happened this week, and this week we wrapped up our March Madness song bracket. So every year around March, there's a couple teachers in the States who make this musical bracket. It looks like this.
Musique Manie, isn't it called, Corey?
Yeah.
The Facebook group.
The Facebook group. And they have a website, and they kind of blew it up this year. And they had a website with the bracket, and anybody around the world could register to participate. They had like 900 schools before remote learning started. And it was pretty cool. Every day you would submit your vote, but we kind of, I dropped it because of our situation. So I continued it just with my own students, my 6, 7, and 7, 8. So we had 50 students participate, and it wrapped up today, and 10 students did better than I did. So they qualify for a prize, which I'm going to hopefully leave out of my classroom. When they come and collect their personal belongings, I'll get permission to do that, hopefully. Yeah, so I just put the link of the teacher's website, so that next year, if you want to do this with your kids, they'll do it every year, at least for a little while, and it's cool.
It looks really good. This was my first year seeing anything about it, and it was really neat. The stuff going on.
You know what?
Just that collaboration around the world, like you said, it's so interesting, and it's all French songs, right? So they've all been screened to make sure they're appropriate for the classroom, and it's just a neat way to bring in culture.
This is my 4th year doing it, and last year, actually 1 year, I wasn't going to do it until one of those students who doesn't like French at all, and asked me, Madame, when are we going to do March Madness? I'm like, oh, if you're asking for this, okay, we will do it.
On it. Awesome. Sammy figured out, she's working on figuring out how to animate her Bitmoji. So she's going to share with us next week when she figures it out.
Super fun.
Yeah, my buddy did an animated Bitmoji, and my jaw just dropped. I'm like, pardon you, I need to step up my game here. I'm gonna tap her brain tomorrow and see what I can do.
There's a lady I follow on Twitter who started doing that, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how do you do that? I need to know. I have no purpose for it, but I need to know how to do it.
Yeah, I'll look into it. Sorry guys, I gotta go. I have a meet in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
But thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else that came out of the breakout rooms you wanted to share back with the big group?
I'll chat for our group. We, I did not share this, but we had a resource shared called Planet Jigsaw, which is website based, and you can put a photo into it, and then students have to make, it's like a puzzle, and they have to make the image. And they said that they used it with photos of attractions around Paris. So then they had to do the jigsaw puzzle and guess what the attraction was. So there's so many different things you could do with that, which we all got really excited about. So I think it was Jackie who shared it. It was very, love it. Definitely using it next week.
Jackie, can you put the link in the chat?
Yes, I will. I will do that. It's just Planet Planet Jigsaw. Sorry.
Thank you.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. It was those students really responded to it. It was kind of a fun thing to do, and then they identified Le Louvre, or les Champs-Élysées, or Le Tour Eiffel. Yeah, Planet Jigsaw.com. There we go.
Thank you. Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that is all, was there anything else in the chat box that we needed to address, ladies?
No. But just a reminder, if you want to save the chat, if you're on a computer, you can click the 3 little dots and download it. If you are on an iPad or an iPhone, one of us can download it and save it for you, or you can click on the links and have them open when you close Zoom.
And there is our link. I don't think I have to explain anything. We got all regulars here with us again. But there's the link for our feedback. We will always welcome it. So thank you for joining us again this week, and hope to see you again next week. Have a good week.
Happy Friday.
Bye-bye.